Now that we've put our Hello app under version control with Git, it's time to push it up to a remote repository for safekeeping. We'll be using GitHub, a site optimized for hosting and sharing Git repositories. Among other things, as mentioned earlier, GitHub is actually written in Rails. The first step is to go to github.com and sign up for an account if you don't already have one. Then sign in. And then click on this little plus icon to make a new repository. We'll call it Hello App, and then say Hello World App for the Ruby on Rails tutorial. Now, technically speaking, Rails apps are safe to just put up on the web for anyone to see, but that's a dangerous practice. It's so easy to leak some sort of authentication key or password, so I think it's a good practice by default to make all web applications private, like this. One of the cool things about GitHub is that you can have as many public and private repositories as you want. You only have to pay them if you want to collaborate on private repos. Create it there. And now this is the page that we get after creating the new repository with instructions on how to set up our local system. And by local here, I mean the Cloud IDE. There are two options here. There's HTTPS, Secure Hypertext Transfer Protocol, or SSH, Secure Shell. Now, there are real advantages to using SSH, including the ability to remember passwords indefinitely. But it's a little bit more difficult to get it to work. You have to configure things called SSH keys. If you're comfortable with that, or if you're up for a challenge, you're welcome to go that route. But for simplicity, we're going to do HTTPS. And then we can just go down here, and this here is just a little clipboard. You can click it, and it actually puts it on the pasteboard buffer. It's equivalent to copying this text. And I'll paste it in here. So this adds GitHub as what's called the remote origin. And then we push -u is what's called upstream. Not important at this level, but there's a link in the text if you want to click on it and read more about it. Here I have to put in my username and the password this time, but remember we set it up to remember the password for today. Looks good. Let's refresh it. And there we go. That's our initial repository. You can see here's a README that was generated by Rails. It has a little information. At this point, we have only one commit, but you can already see that all of our files are here. App, controllers, application controller. And as we make changes, GitHub lets us visualize those changes from commit to commit. We'll see an example of that in the next section.